Nice that you are watching this video. We are going to talk about the album Lover by Taylor Swift. Lover is the seventh studio album by the American singer-songwriter Taylor Swift. Released on August 23, 2019, by Republic Records. It is her first album after her departure from Big Machine Records, which caused a public dispute over the ownership of Swift's past albums. Swift recorded Lover after finishing her 2018 Reputation Stadium tour. Having recalibrated her personal life and artistic direction following the public controversies that preceded her previous studio album, Reputation, 2017. She produced Lover with Jack Antonoff, Joel Little, Louis Bell, and Frank Dukes. Described by Swift as a love letter to love, the album explores wide-ranging emotions like infatuation, commitment, lust, and heartache. A few songs discuss political issues such as LGBT rights and feminism. The production incorporates a 1980s-inspired electropop, pop rock, and synth-pop sound characterized by atmospheric synthesizers, mid-tempo rhythms, and acoustic instruments, with eclectic elements of country, folk, and funk. Swift extensively promoted Lover through television shows, magazine covers, and press interviews. Lover's visual aesthetic featured bright pastel colors. 4 singles were released in 2019-2020. Me, You Need to Calm Down, Lover, and The Man. The first 3 reached the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. The 5th single, Cruel Summer, was released in 2023 and topped the Hot 100. In the United States, Lover was Swift's 6th consecutive Billboard 200 #1 album and the best-selling album of 2019, and the Recording Industry Association of America certified it triple platinum. The global best-selling album by a solo artist of 2019, it topped the charts and received platinum certifications in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom. When Lover was first released, music critics generally praised the emotional maturity and free-spirited sound of Swift's songwriting. But some took the issue with the wide-ranging musical styles as incohesive. Many publications included the album in their rankings of the best albums of 2019. It was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Pop Vocal Album and won the American Music Award for Favorite Pop, Rock Album. Swift recalibrated her artistry and image from country music to pop with her 2014 fifth studio album, 1989, which incorporated a 1980s synth-pop sound with dense synthesizers, programmed drum machines, electronic vocal processing, and dance-oriented arrangements. 1989 sold over 5 million copies in the United States within 1 year and propelled Swift toward global pop stardom. But her fame was blemished by tabloid gossip that publicized her short-lived romantic relationships with Calvin Harris and Tom Hiddleston. A mid-2016 dispute with the rapper Kanye West over his single, Famous, led to an internet cancellation movement against Swift. The controversies influenced Swift's 2017 studio album, Reputation, a hip-hop-influenced record with themes of vengeance and drama, representing a vindictive image that outgrew her previous, America's Sweetheart, Reputation. Reputation was Swift's last album with Big Machine Records, to which she had signed in 2006. She reflected on the album as a defense mechanism that helped her protect her mental health amidst the controversies and her foregone, America's Sweetheart, reputation as liberating, as she no longer had to be self-aware of being always smiling, always happy. After finishing the Reputation Stadium tour in November 2018, Swift signed with Universal Music Group label Republic Records. She publicly voiced her political opinion for the first time upon endorsing two Democrat candidates for the 2018 midterm elections in her home state Tennessee. Swift recalled that on the Reputation Stadium tour, her fans saw her as a flesh and blood human being, and not just the media image of her, which humanity, to her life. She channeled this realization in writing songs for her seventh studio album. This time around I feel more comfortable being brave enough to be vulnerable. Because my fans are brave enough to be vulnerable with me. As with her past albums, Lover was a reflection on Swift's personal life. She focused on creating music, deprioritized social media, and took her occupation as an entertainer less seriously. She wrote the album after having adjusted her state of mind and embraced a newfound sense of creativity. This sentiment is reflected in the opening track, I Forgot That You Existed, in which Swift sings about no longer seeking vengeance against those who wronged her. She described the songwriting as very confessional and autobiographical, yet also playful and whimsical. She avoided disclosing the inspirations behind her lyrics. In the September 2019 issue of Vogue, Swift dubbed the album a love letter to love, in all of its maddening, passionate, exciting, enchanting, horrific, tragic, wonderful glory. The track list consists of 18 songs that depict this theme, inspired by Swift's realization of what she called love that was very real. In addition to purely romantic songs, Lover includes themes of sorrow and loneliness, which Swift said could be perceived through a romantic gaze. Most tracks are straightforward, open-hearted love songs. The title track is about commitment to a romantic partner. The ways couples customize their marriage vows inspired its bridge. Me is about self-affirmation and self-love. Lust is the theme of I Think He Knows, which is about self-confidence after a reciprocated infatuation, and False God, about the false hopes in a long-distance relationship. Paper Rings and London Boy explore playful and quirky aspects of love. The former is about a committed romance without materialistic concerns, and the latter is a romantic confession to an Englishman with tongue-in-cheek lyrics that name locations in London. The penultimate track, It's Nice to Have a Friend, tells a love story that begins in childhood and proceeds to adulthood. Swift considered the song a representation of the feelings one wishes to experience whether they are a child or an adult. Other songs explore the pitfalls of romance. The Archer is about her self-awareness and acknowledgement of her past mistakes, and Cruel Summer is about a painful, fleeting summer romance. Cornelia Street narrates a relationship in which Swift is afraid she will lose her partner again if she repeats her earlier mistakes. She takes the blame for having hurt her partner on Afterglow, and contemplates a loved one's prolonged medical treatment on Soon You'll Get Better. Death by a Thousand Cuts was inspired by the romantic comedy film Someone Great and is about overcoming a failed relationship's painful aftermaths. Swift said that writing Death by a Thousand Cuts was incredible news to her because she could continue writing songs about heartbreak even if she was in a healthy relationship. In the closing track, Daylight, Swift says that she to be defined by the things that and contemplates that love to her now is golden, rather than burning red, as she once believed. A reference to the title track of her 2012 studio album Red. A few songs reflect Swift's perception of contemporary U.S. politics since her 2006 debut as a country music artist. Swift's record company had warned her against becoming involved in politics, but after witnessing the political events affecting the rights of certain people, she became disillusioned and decided to involve in the public political discourse. Swift wrote, Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince after the 2018 midterm elections. Its lyrics use high school as a metaphor for American politics because she thought the social events of a traditional American high school, like the political landscape, can alienate some people. The Man was inspired by the double standards women experience the music industry and in wider society. You need to calm down. Advocates for LGBT rights. Inspired by a conversation in which a friend asked Swift what she would do if she had a gay son, other inspirations were cyberbullies, cancel culture, and the way the mass media pits against each other. Swift started recording Lover in November 2018, soon after she completed the Reputation Stadium tour. She wanted to incorporate eclectic styles to accompany the diverse lyrical themes, which was made possible by her new contract with Republic Records, granting her more artistic freedom than before. Swift recorded and produced much of Lover with Jack Antonoff, who had produced 1989 and Reputation. Other producers are Joel Little, Frank Dukes, and Louis Bell, all of whom were first-time collaborators of Swift. The producers of respective tracks are credited as their co-writers alongside Swift, except for songs Swift wholly wrote, Lover, Cornelia Street, and Daylight. The hip-hop producer Soundwave co-wrote and co-produced London Boy, the singer Brendan Urie co-wrote Me, and the musician St. Vincent, credited as Annie Clark, co-wrote of Cruel Summer. While recording, Swift revisited musical styles with which she had earlier experimented. While she associated Reputation's musical style, devoid of acoustic instruments, with imagery of nighttime cityscape, old warehouse buildings that had been deserted and factory spaces, she conceptualized Lover as a barn wood floor and some ripped curtains flowing in the breeze, and fields of flowers. The songs on Lover use many acoustic instruments. Swift recorded her vocals as though she were performing live, stating much of the album is nearly whole takes. In publications reviews, music critics categorized Lover as primarily a pop album with a 1980s influenced sound combining pop rock and electropop, compared to the dark, hip-hop tones of its predecessor. Lover's musical styles are brighter, more light-hearted, and atmospheric. The tracks are of varying tempo, and are built on straightforward song structures with piano melodies, rock arrangements, and standard chord progressions. A few experiment with styles and song structures that were new to Swift. Antonoff co-produced 11 tracks, all of which were recorded at Electric Lady Studios in New York City. Paper Rings, London Boy, and Daylight were additionally recorded at Metropolis Studios in London. The first 2 tracks, and Cruel Summer and I Think He Knows, were additionally recorded at Conway Recording Studios in Los Angeles. Antonoff's production is characterized by 1980s drums, atmospheric synthesizers, and reverbed beats, exploring eclectic styles across genres including synth pop, punk, folk rock, and quiet storm. Because of Antonoff's 1980s style production, some critics commented Lover expands on the 1980s synth pop sound of 1989. Billboard journalist Jason Lipschutz commented Lover is not an expansion on 1989's sound, but a more ambitious record that is larger in scope. Swift conceptualized tracks like Lover and Paper Rings as songs that might have been played in a 1970s wedding reception. As such, these tracks use retro instruments to bring forth the timeless feel she desired. For Lover, Swift and Antonoff used instruments that, according to Swift, were invented before the 1970s. It is a waltzing tempo track combining indie folk and alternative country with acoustic guitar, percussion, and pizzicato strings. Paper Rings is a gleeful new wave-influenced pop-punk track with influences from rockabilly and 1980s pop. Many songs produced with Antonov have a radio-friendly pop production. Cruel Summer is a 1980s-influenced synth-pop song with pulsating synthesizers and distorted vocals, and London Boy is a bubblegum pop song with layered synthesizers and repeated beats. The upbeat electropop and R&B track, I Think He Knows, features influences of funk with Swift's falsetto vocals over guitars, a deep bass, and a marching beat. Despite its lyrics about a painful heartbreak, Death by a Thousand Cuts has an upbeat production with a recurring guitar line, quivering synthesizers, and faint church bells with vocal harmonies in the background. The ballads, The Archer, Cornelia Street, and Daylight are characterized by dense, atmospheric synthesizers, the first of which combines dream pop and synth pop with steady kick drum beats throughout. Soon You'll Get Better and False God, which were produced with Antonov, feature subtler production compared to the dominant up-tempo sound. Soon You'll Get Better is a country ballad featuring slide guitars and the Dixie Chicks contributing background harmonies, banjo, and fiddle. False God combines elements of jazz, trap, neo-soul, and 1980s R&B. Swift sings over hiccuping vocal samples and a lone saxophone line. Little Co. produced 4 tracks on Lover. These were recorded at Electric Lady Studios in New York, Golden Age Studios in Los Angeles, and Golden Age West in Auckland, New Zealand. Swift had first met Little at a Broods concert in Los Angeles. They got acquainted at the New Zealand show of her Reputation Stadium tour. Shortly after, Swift invited Little to New York to record songs with her. Me is one of the first songs they created together. Me, which features Brendan Urie of Panic at the Disco, contains pop hooks, and the horns and marching band drums in the refrain evoke a 1960s big band sound. Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince is an atmospheric, gloomy synth pop track with shouting cheerleader's voice in the background. The synth pop tunes, The Man, and You Need to Calm Down, feature pulsating synthesizers. The Man is built on a pulsating drum beat and You Need to Calm Down features cascading vocal echoes in the refrain. The 3 tracks Swift produced with Bell and Dukes, which were recorded at Electric Feel Studios in Los Angeles, have an experimental quality. The opening track, I Forgot That You Existed, is a light-hearted post-tropical house tune that is built on piano and finger snaps. The power ballad, Afterglow, has a slow-building melody consisting of slow bass and Swift's falsetto vocals. Some critics considered the penultimate track, It's Nice to Have a Friend, as the album's most original and experimental song. The song includes a sample of Summer in the South from the Toronto-based Regent Park School of Music's album Parkscapes. It has a sparse production with steel pans, harps, and tubular bells, and is punctuated by a trumpet solo and church bells near the middle. Swift said she wrote the track with only verses, and was more focused on the vibe and feeling, contrasting her usual songwriting with a clear refrain and structure. Recording wrapped on February 24, 2019. A sample of Cautious Clay's song, Cold War, used for London Boy, was approved in June that year. Next video we will continue on the album Lover. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time. Bye.